Tomorrow Never Dies is that your typical Bond movie. And in one specific way is that its villain is very different from the villains before him. You know, he's not a villain trying to rule the world with some kind of exotic super weapon or become a big time drug lord or anything like this. The villain in Tomorrow Never Dies, he simply wants to control the narrative of the world, control what people believe is real, kind of, control the truth. In a lot of ways, this Bond villain is still relevant in today's society because he's trying to do these things through the news. And if you, no matter where you sit on the political aisle, you understand that these news agencies today are the same way. They control the narrative or try to control the narrative by leaving out certain truths or maybe just blatant lying to you. And this is kind of what's going on in this movie, Tomorrow Never Dies. Our lead guy here, our main villain, his whole goal is to make news so he can make money and control the way people believe or see the world. And one of his first acts in this movie is to have a submarine go off course and try to create, I guess, the next World War by having this incident. So he's very greedy, which is something the other Bond villains have in common with him. But, I think this is what kind of makes him different, is that he's kind of controlling the narrative, the truth. That's his main goal in life, and so he can bring in millions and millions of dollars. This is probably one of the better Pierce Brosnan movies. I would probably say maybe the second best one, in my opinion. And it'll be a close to his best movies of the four. It's very well done. We got Michelle, I always mispronounce her last name, Yeoh, in this one. I probably really screwed that one up in this movie. But this is a movie that kind of made her a superstar, a world star, and the movies, the other one that kind of brought her to light was, of course, was Jackie Chan with Super Cop, with her co-starring with him in that one, and she did a fantastic job in this one. And then we have this movie, and then another one that she was fantastic in was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She was fantastic in that one as well. And her and Pierce Brosnan worked very well together. And then he put in a little bit of Terry Hatcher into the mix as well. And Terry Hatcher, she has a very small part in this movie, but she does a very well job. To me, this is during the time period that she was Lois in the TV sitcom Lois and Clark, which, Superman. And this is kind of feels like Hollywood's way of testing her into the movies and seeing how audiences would react to her. And, she does a very good job, in my opinion. She's probably in the only movie for about, 5 or 10 minutes. She plays Pierce or Bond's past love interest, which seems to be like a minor theme in these movies. Like, he always has like a little past love interest. Well, with this one, now I'm kind of correcting myself. With this one, and then in the following one, The World Is Not Enough, he always has this other past love interest. The action sequences in this movie are very well done. Of course, with Michelle Wu. Pardon mispronouncing her last name. But anyways, are very, real good. I only have a problem with the opening sequence. The part before he gets onto the jet plane, the aircraft, is that, he's among all these military people, and while he's running to get into the plane, you got people running past him. Why aren't these people trying to subdue him? They're acting like they're just your regular civilians. But besides that, that's like the only real complaint of the movie, of the action scenes. Of course, you do got the great jet fighter scene that follows that. My wife loves that scene. She always loves the part where he says, ask the admiral or the military leader there of America where he would like his missiles delivered. And then you got the great sequence where, he ejects the guy behind him, choking him up into the jet plane above him. Very cool stuff. Of course, you got the great motorcycle scene with him and Michelle Yeoh trying to ride this thing while being chased. They're handcuffed together. Trying to argue, who's going to be taking over the motorcycle, driving the thing. And then, of course, that ends with the great helicopter scene in the little alley, plaza type of area. And then you can't forget the underwater scenes with the submarines when they're trying to get the nukes or find out what happened to them. So, that's a great sequence as well with the flooding and stuff like that. And the cinematography underneath there was very well shot. Like I said, overall, it's a very good movie. I would recommend this to people who haven't seen a James Bond movie, or, if they doubt, like, Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. I think he carries all the elements. He's suave, he's action, very well in the action scenes, carries himself very well as James Bond. I think I said this in my previous James Bond movie with him. I think he's one of the better ones, one of my favorites at least. Maybe because I kind of, grew up with him more. But this is kind of how, when I see James Bond, I see Pierce Brosnan. The older generations probably see Sean Connery, which I think he does very well. And then a lot of people see Roger Moore's James Bond. But to me, I think Pierce carries the multiple sides of James Bond very well. Just checking out my notes. What else I want to talk about? Let's see, the opening scene. Oh, can't forget about the theme song with Sheryl Crow. One thing that a James Bond movie must have is an excellent theme song at the beginning, and when it's going through the credits, Sheryl Crow definitely delivers the goods on that part. I will say, though, talking about the villain, Pierce Brosnan does have some very good villains in this movie. It's probably one of the best. His 4 movies probably have some of the best villains of the franchise. But Jonathan Pryce as Elliot Carter. This one does feel kind of comic bookish in ways. His monocle dialogues are theatrical. His plans sound exaggerated. Especially the part at the beginning where he has this politician that needs to vote a certain way, and he says, what's blackmailing him, and then after he votes the way he wants to, we're going to release the photographs of this politician anyways. Discusses about releasing programs. I guess he's like somebody who's into like the computer world as well. He's like, we're going to release this program, make sure it has a bunch of bugs in it so that they have to buy the next program that's supposed to be bigger and better. I mean, in the world, don't we feel out the same way that we got these developers putting out these programs that are never really finished, that need updates constantly to make them complete, especially if you're somebody who plays video games. You know what I'm talking about. Talking about the action scenes, I can't forget about the remote control car chase, which is excellently done. He's sitting there, he's controlling the car. He has his own little, what do you call it? What do you call those things, baby? Anyways. He uses his phone. Yeah, he uses his phone to do it, but he's flying it. Now drone, like a car drone in a way. But it's actually done. It's believable. Fantastically shot. Already talked about the motorcycle chase. Oh, and then we got the banner jump. How can I forget about the banner jump? Pretty sure that maybe Jackie Chan borrowed this, or maybe she borrowed it from him. But, in Shanghai Nights, Jackie Chan, Owen Wilson jumping off Big Ben. They grab hold of the banner, and they go all the way down. And that's how it saved their lives. So you got the similar scene in Tomorrow Never Dies. Great sequence as Pierce and Michelle, diving through the window to get away from the baddies, grab hold of this banner to escape. I thought that was pretty cool. As you see it, in other movies. Michelle's character, her character is much like Jinx in Die Another Day. Her character is not lesser than Bond. They're equals. She's just as great as he is. And I think that's one thing about these the Pierce movies. You know, Roger Moore with The Spy Love Me. You know, you have Barbara Bach's character. She's a super spy or a spy for Russia as well. But you always felt like her character is a little bit more inferior to James Bond. And this one, you know, both Michelle's character and Pierce's characters are on even level, you know, equal partners in solving this case. Sometimes she gets the upper hand on him and vice versa. And I will say that the villain here might have one of the most brutal death scenes. You know, he's getting kind of sliced and diced by the drill at the end, you know. There was another movie early on, I think it was a Moore movie, could have been a Connery movie, where one of them gets kind of a villain, but it's more like a henchman, gets dumped into like a ice wood chipper thing. Of course, it's a Bond movie, so don't show blood going everywhere like they do in the movie Fargo. But, you know, you can imagine this drill slamming into the bad guy. That would be a bloody mess. So, yes, one of the more brutal death scenes as the main villain. And, you know, this is Pierce's second movie, and he's still, you know, right in there, fully engaged in this one. I have to rewatch the last one to see if he's kind of phoning it in there at the end. But right here, you know, you get top-notch Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. That's about all I got to say. 11.5 minutes about Tomorrow Never Dies. Let me know in the comments below what do you guys think about Tomorrow Never Dies. Where would you place this as a James Bond movie? And for Pierce's 4 movies that he made, let me know in the comments below. And thank you for hanging out for nearly 12 minutes. Maybe 1 or 2 of you will be here that long. Anyways, have a great day and bye.